live.
All right. Travis, great to see you, sir.
You too, man. It's been a while.
It has been a while. Things have happened. Life has happened.
Yeah.
What have you been up to?
Just been working, man. I work for
Yeah.
a public school district here now.
Nice. Nice. I had a kid and he's become my entire world. I've had no free time to myself. In fact, he's sick right now, but Travis and I made sure to find some time after I
We
got
s-
down to sleep.
we're gonna squeeze it in, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess we should do that old school intro. I'm Trevor.
I'm Travis.
We're the Blockheads. All right. Where do you want to start today?
Let's just reintroduce ourselves and let people know like why we talk about the things that we talk about.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I got into the space back circa 2017, late-ish, and gosh, when was that? 2019? Back, God, man, I don't even remember the dates back when we started working together, man. You and me,
2021.
was it?
Yeah.
God damn, dude.
Time flies. It's almost been four fucking
Yeah,
years.
yeah. But anyway, so when we got into it, it was right before that last bull market hit, and I started working for a small little startup crypto company called Dev Team 6,
Hmm.
just as the system administrator. And yeah, that's where I met Trevor.
All right. Well, my experience in the space, um, man, so I'd heard about Bitcoin back in 2009 from a classmate of mine. He was telling me about it, and I was like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Dude, you should buy some." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Where can I spend it?" He's like, "Well, no, you can't."
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah. It was
okay, do I get like a physical coin? He's like, no, it's all digital. And I'm like, what's its current price? And I can't remember what the price was. It was something minuscule.
yeah,
He's like, you can get a lot.
yeah,
And I was just like, oh, okay. Um, and then I was just like, all right, so is its price like is it always worth one, like $1? He's like, no. Like the price goes up and down. I'm like, well, you're telling me like it could drop to zero. He's like, I mean, yeah.
of
And I'm
course,
like,
yeah,
keep your fucking fake money.
yeah.
I'm good, man.
This was a
And
shit coin, man. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So I was young and dumb, and I was more about buying things rather than investing.
yeah,
So years later, I got into crypto in early 2021 as an actual investor.
yeah,
Um, I tried getting in 2017. I wanted to buy some Doge, but I was a pretty big pot smoker back then.
yeah,
And admittedly, I was too hot. What in
yeah.
the effort?
That
So
has an
missed
effect.
opportunities. But yeah, in 2021, got into it at the behest of my cousin with Safe Moon of all things. Made some money, and that's where my start was.
Yep,
But I reached out to my classmate when I finally got into crypto because obviously Bitcoin was around the 30-40 range. We saw it jump all the way up to like 67,000.
yep.
And I was like, hey man, like I'm just getting into crypto, actually like holding some. You must be loaded right now. Like, how has your life been? And he's like, don't talk to me about crypto. I'm like, why not? He's like, all the Bitcoin I had was stored on my computer,
Yeah,
and I foolishly got rid of it when I upgraded and went to college.
yep,
And I was like, shit, that's a whole nother kind of disappointment.
yep. No, I have nightmares about why I didn't just buy a jack ton of Bitcoin for next to nothing. I mean, if you'd have put $50 into Bitcoin back in 2009 or even 2012, which is when I think I became aware of it,
Mhm.
it it you'd be we'd be
Oh,
definitely
I remember seeing that at $5. Yeah,
we'd have better cameras for sure, you know.
this is true. But
But
so yeah, I got into crypto as an investor. I started following projects. I ended up making a YouTube channel because the woman I was dating at the time was sick and tired of me talking about crypto. She's like, "Can you just make a YouTube channel?" I was like, "All right." So I did. got a small amount of success with it, got a following.
Yep.
I was trying to get to the same level though as these other up and coming crypto YouTubers. And I saw they would pick one project and focus on that. They'd create a name around it. It's
Yeah.
just like, all right. So I found a project. I made a whole new YouTube channel because I'm like, let's do this organically. So I had seen a project highlighted on another crypto YouTuber. Um, uh, I'm blanking on his name. It was started with a T. I don't follow him anymore, obviously.
Yeah.
But he did an interview with the CEO of this project called Cream Pie Token, and I'm like, that's the stupidest fucking name ever. But they alluded to having partnerships with Apple, and I was like, you know what? I'm picking this project. So
Yeah.
I came up with the moniker, the financial advisor. I don't give out financial advice, just financial advice. We put out videos every week. I'd analyze every single update they did, and finally went to the length of getting their logo tattooed on my wrist. And then I went to a conference they held out in Phoenix,
Yep.
and they hired me the week after.
Nice.
So I was brand manager. I got hired maybe 2, 3 weeks before Travis did,
Yep.
and was with them for about a year, a little under. Um, Started off as brand manager for the Cream Pie token, which they eventually rebranded to just Pie PYE to
Right.
get past censorship in
That was
China.
that was one of the better moves.
Yeah, admittedly. And then eventually did project acquisition coordinating as the head there.
Yeah.
Um, but that's just we'll get into that in another episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm past my 2 year mark. Travis is not. So we'll
Yeah.
talk about that at a different time.
We can
But
talk about a lot of stuff because a lot of stuff that was publicly, I talk about when I talk about the project, I just have to talk about it from my experience as an investor, which I was also, um, and I wasn't necessarily involved so much with the decisions on the development or anything like that, as much as I was. My job was to support the developers and make sure that the infrastructure existed for us to operate, and
yeah.
do those things. But that's what a system administrator does. And I'm happy to talk about any of the publicly available stuff that anybody wants to talk about. It's pretty old news at this point.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, we're talking about a project that is in a permanent limbo state. You know, I hesitate to use the word failed, but it doesn't seem like it has much legs anymore. And that's an experience as an investor that like I said, I like to talk about the experience from an investor's point of view,
Hmm.
which you learn lessons from that.
Yeah.
It definitely taught me a lot about about what kind of goes on in the underworld, because when like you were talking about, I had the same introductory experience. It was to Bitcoin. It wasn't a little bit of Ethereum, and stuff like that, and the altcoins, and especially the BNB chain and the Solana chain, and
Hmm.
the kind of development that we've seen, and with those kind of operations going on now. Um, it's a little bit different, and there's a lot of lessons to be learned, if you're gonna mess around in that space. But
I definitely agree with you on that. I think that I my since my life has changed so much since becoming a father,
yeah,
my investment style has drastically changed as well. I don't have as much, you know, uh, dry powder to play with anymore
of
because I've
course.
got all these other responsibilities. I bought a fucking house. Like it's it's a process. So
All that
um,
dry powder's getting mixed up. It's called formula right now. So yeah, he's
yeah,
way older than that now, though, isn't he?
yeah, no, he's doing just whole milk now. We got him off breast milk.
Yeah,
It's good, but definitely takes up a lot of time. But because of that, I started re-examining what was out there. I think just like a lot of people, I got suckered into a lot of these shitcoin projects,
yeah,
shit tokens, meme coins, whatever you want to call them, at the behest of people that I trusted. They're, people that I've known since I first got in the space, and I got burned again and again and again. I was using a Telegram wallet for my Solana,
Yeah,
got 5 stolen from it because it was bonk bot,
yeah.
and everything got stored in plain text. It was a whole thing.
And
So
there's a lot of excitement in that space, and
I
it's hard. I met a lot of interesting people, and not there's a lot of people that were maybe not in the space for the right reasons, but there was a lot of people that were, and
yeah,
they had the best of intentions, and they lost a lot. A lot of folks lost way more than what I did. So, um,
I mean,
but
we all know them. We all
yeah,
know them.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but it is what it is, and that is the inherent risk that you take when you gamble, and that's essentially what this is.
I
Um,
mean, very much so. And I just realized I forgot. So after Dev Team 6, I ended up working for another company called Blockstar.
yeah,
Large decentralized ecosystem. I was their head of
a little bit
social
different,
media. Yeah,
a little
a little bit
different
different.
project entirely, but
Oh, and very much
interesting,
so.
very interesting.
Yeah, they have at their own blockchain at this point. They're about to go public with. It was really exciting working for them just because it was such a shift. Everything that other projects had promised, this guy, David Hunter, had already completed. He had all the technology.
Yeah,
He'd been working on it for about 4 years before I came across him in 2022, and he's continued to build it out. When I found out I was going to be having a kid, I had to get serious with life
yeah,
and had to step down from my position. I still do part-time work here and there for the company, but it's definitely not in the same capacity.
yeah.
It's a whole new thing,
Yep. It's
for sure.
it's a lot. It's a whole ecosystem. There's like a whole social media aspect, a whole media aspect entirely to it. It's a very comprehensive system, and it's
Yeah.
very interesting. I'm over. I mess around with it a little bit, but I just don't have a lot of time for social media and things like that. So
Well, I mean,
more
let's be honest. Social
focused
media
on
is
hands-on.
terrible for you.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm much happier that way. I haven't had things like Facebook and things like that for better part of a decade now, and I've been much happier for it. So,
Yeah,
if anybody who needs to get a hold of me knows how to get a hold of me, I'm not that, you know,
that's what it
clandestine.
turns into, right?
Yeah, so the
Um,
NSA knows how to get a hold of me, so we're all good.
the
What else do I
FBI
need?
knows how to get a hold of me.
Yeah, right, right, right. So we
But yeah,
hear.
so let's roll into again just where the vein we were going down in terms of
Yeah.
I was looking for a more reliable investment,
Hmm.
and I started looking at utility-based projects, specifically XRP.
Yeah.
They're looking to do a lot. They are part of a growing class of coins known as ISO 20022. That's a standard that banks use. Uh, Sounds really technical, but we'll break it down and explain why the standard is really important for banks and how cryptocurrencies such as XRP, XLM, HBAR, Quant, and again, quite a few others. It is a growing pool, but those are the key players. So just to give you an idea, like a quick peek into how the banking world works today, most of the banks today rely upon old systems to send money and information. Think of it like a patchwork of local post offices trying to coordinate deliveries with handwritten notes. It's slow, it's inefficient, it's prone to errors, especially for cross-border transactions. So, those are the current problems that we face. And so it's like, again, it's cracking down on inefficiency. So transactions can take days to process, especially internationally, has a high cost to intermediary banks, raking fees for handling messages and payments. Inconsistent standards, different countries and banks use different systems currently, leading to miscommunications. So, like, imagine if you're sending an email, but the recipient uses a different software that scrambles your message. It's kind of like back in the day, messaging between Android and iPhone. It was like, who knows what's going to
Sure. I mean,
But
these are some of the same Same things that cryptocurrency and Bitcoin was trying to solve as well.
Yep, yep. So I mean, so again, that's how cross-border banking feels today. But with the introduction of the ISO 20022, this is a universal messaging standard for the financial world. Think of it as switching all of those post offices to a shared email system where everyone speaks the same digital language. And here's what it brings: it brings interoperability. Banks, systems, and even cryptos can communicate seamlessly. There's definitely a speed and cost efficiency, faster processing, and fewer intermediaries mean lower costs. There's a data richness. More detailed transaction data helps prevent fraud and enables smarter financial decisions. Um, the big thing that's coming up is the big launch on March 10th of 2025, so next year. Um, from that point, banks and financial systems will be adopting the ISO 20022 standard, and they'll experience smoother and more integrated operations. But I guess, again,
It's a,
as an investor, what's the tie into crypto?
yeah,
Um,
you might have remember hearing about this, but they launched this back in 2023, I believe, here like pretty regularly. So it's something that the banks have been doing for a long time.
oh yeah, my girlfriend's sister works in the banks and she works in remittances. And I was sitting down with her the other day. She's not a crypto person, and I busted out the ISO 20022, and she's like, "How the fuck do you know about that?"
It's
So yeah, it's existed for sure.
and essentially what this is
Mhm.
it's a protocol. And I believe it's these are basically XML files that messages, and it's just a protocol on how to like write out these messages, so
Mhm.
that basically everybody's working on a standardized system. And yeah, that's going to be a lot more efficient and easier to read and things like that. But there's a um, there's a data gathering aspect to this that is also part of it, which tends to be why um, all this has been somewhat seen as, conspiracy theory and blah blah blah. But the fact of the matter is that part of this ISO 20022 is the enhanced data collection scheme that is basically gives you risk scores. They're collecting, risk scores as part of this.
Mhm.
Uh, Beneficiary information is collected. Transaction purposes. They're basically trying to enhance AML, KYC, um, things like that with this as well. So
Undeniably so.
this is certainly
Mhm.
there appears to be some gatekeeping and some possibility to be concerned that this is the way that we're going. However, there's also some benefits to investors especially who are invested in some of the cryptocurrencies that are going to be supporting this entire network of what, you know, most people are thinking comes down to, central bank digital currencies. Uh,
Yeah.
and part of that is going to be an identity system, and that's where this ISO 20022 is kind of. I think what we're seeing is the baby steps of that identity system being implemented, because you can't really have the central bank digital currencies without the identity, the online digital identity.
Yeah, and I mean, so when I first started looking at XRP for an example, coming from DeFi of all things, it just screamed like, "Oh, this is the banks. This is centralized. This
Yeah,
this is the WEF. This is this." It felt very ugly. It felt very dirty, and
yeah,
it was just like the anonymity that crypto was created with,
yeah.
just kind of gone. But I
It,
said, "Hey, if this is what they're gonna do, this is how they want to play ball."
Yeah.
I might as well make some
Yeah,
money
exactly.
off of it.
It's the system that we've been given to, it's the cards we've been dealt, and we have to play the game with what we've been dealt. The problem is that for most people like you and I, most low-level investors and things like that, you're talking about a pretty rigged game. And that
Mhm.
again, this is kind of where Bitcoin was supposed to be the equalizer there. And this kind of goes into what the future of Bitcoin might hold even, because I mean, the way the the we can actually put a link to that article that you shared with me that had the map on it,
Oh yeah, let's definitely
because
do that.
in the description, because it's kind of amazing to see all the cryptos and stuff that are poised to interact with this essentially governmental system, and central banking system. Um, and I would say that, I mean, if you want to build wealth and you want to be an investor, that there's some really good opportunities to invest in some systems that are probably going to be implemented. Um,
Hmm.
and
Well, I,
I would encourage that, and I'm trying to make some moves myself. Um,
but none of this is financial advice. We want to put that out
Yeah,
there, of
no, I
course.
mean, if you're into it, have a ball with it. The problem that I'm seeing is that I'm not sure that this is going to be necessarily something that takes over for Bitcoin. Um, but the other concern that I have is that, Bitcoin is not necessarily unmodifiable. Um,
Right.
Given enough, network nodes, full nodes, and miners voting for modifications. So,
Well, I was rewatching our last video, just trying to, see where we had left off, and we were
mhm,
talking about Bitcoin. We were talking about, it was very early then. The ETFs hadn't come out yet. Those went live
yeah.
back in January, which forever ago at this
Yeah,
point.
I saw the old notes.
But
We had a bunch of ETF stuff on there for an episode that we never recorded, apparently. So,
yeah.
yeah, it must have been right about that same time. But, I mean, my point being is that I'm not necessarily trying to tell people what the future of cryptocurrency is going to be, or whether or not central bank digital currency is good or bad, or anything like that. I just think that what's probably bad is if we outlaw cash,
Hmm.
because ultimately, in a society, it's about the ease of use, and
Yep.
we are still really far away from digital currency being easy to use for the common person.
Correct.
And there's a lot of uncertainty, especially right now, with what's going to be happening in the world around. Um, and so, you know, we don't know that necessarily people are going to have access to networks. We don't know that Musk is going to have those satellites up there forever. You know what I
True.
mean? So, I mean,
For accessibility, yeah.
yeah, it's there's just a lot of things that are unheard of, and so I think that, something that you were talking about, kind of consolidating some of your holdings into certain things is like I would encourage you to keep your portfolio diversified,
Mm,
and that means, down from XRP, which is something that obviously is poised to really probably make some moves, or Stellar, XLM,
hmm.
Algorand, I think was on that list. H
Yeah,
bar,
H bar,
I know less
quant.
about that. IOTA even,
Hmm.
certain things like that. I mean, you would be kind of silly, and I think that's why we have seen a lot of movement in those particular blockchains and their
Well, I
associated
mean, what's fascinating
coins.
about specifically the ISO 2002, uh, 2022 projects is a lot of people, because they had no real movement for the last,
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah, well, I mean,
People were calling them
XRP was a
dinosaur coins.
XRP obviously was, their in a little kind of a place of their own, having defeated, large government lawsuit against them.
Well,
So,
I mean,
I
it's
mean,
fascinating. I don't,
that kind of
I
takes the juice out of you, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I shared it with you, and hopefully you have time to check it out. There was a recent XRP documentary that just
Yep,
dropped called "Rigged from the Start,"
yep,
and it covers XRP's progress and the legal challenges they have faced, and more importantly, the collusion that occurred with the SEC and the Ethereum Foundation. So ETH, I'd heard about it. It went
yeah,
so deep. I'm gonna have to rewatch this thing multiple times,
yeah,
but with this movement that's now happening, it's kind of like the price suppression is finally gone. We have Gary Gensler, who put in his resignation January 20th at noon, will be his final time with the SEC. You have President-elect Trump, who has assembled a very pro-crypto cabinet,
that's what I
um,
hear. Yep,
pro-treasury or pro-crypto for treasury as well. So it'll be interesting to see who he appoints as the new SEC head. But more than likely, we're going to see the case against Ripple dismissed. And it will lead to quite groundbreaking stuff. And again, all these ISO protocol coins, they are currently priced off speculation,
yeah,
but they're all utility based coins. And so it comes down to how much do they need to be priced for the system as a whole to work. And I mean, I'm not trying to get deep into that at all. There's
yeah,
explanations, there's posts, but it's going to be sudden. That's for sure.
yeah.
But things are going to take off.
Yeah, I think we're still in probably a good place for that. Again, no financial advice. I don't tell people when they should buy and things like that. That's up to you to worry about. And
Very
and
true.
again, I think what we were talking about some of the more possible red flags, shall we say, that we
Hmm.
see in things like CBDCs in this new ISO 222. Um, it's or not so new at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what we're just like you're saying, all this collusion kind of puts a bad taste in your mouth, and it feels like manipulation.
Hmm.
And it feels that way because most of the time it is. So,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that you can't. I mean, if you can, just because you're seeing manipulation doesn't mean you can't recognize that and use that to hopefully get yourself into a better position.
Hmm.
But like I said, beyond that, I'm not going to advise people what they should do or how they should feel about, the extra data collection that is associated with
I,
these
I,
benefits of making it more efficient and faster and all these things that we're being promised right now. So
I mean, it comes down to same with big data. It's
yeah,
the convenience that exists. You're giving away quite a few bits of your privacy,
yeah.
of your data, and I guess the mindset is, well, it's convenient. It works for me. I'm not doing anything bad. Why does it
Well,
matter? And we live in 1984.
yeah,
We live in an Orwellian state where everything is listening to you.
yep.
So,
And if you subscribe to quantum computing, basically everything is is shot anyway. So, that's a whole nother topic. But the one last thing I will say about the was it ProWide ISO 222? The library is open source, but the ISO standard itself is not.
mhm.
Um, so that's another red flag for me,
Yeah.
in my mind, because I don't like when they a lot of times a lot of times, like I think we were talking about in some of those hardware wallets, we're using processors that are proprietary locked processors, and they're unable to completely open up their code because of that.
Yeah, I can't
Uh,
remember the current standard for that processor, but a lot of these
yeah,
companies will say, "Hey, we're 95% transparent."
yeah,
So I because I have a significant position in XRP. It's gone up in value. My mindset has now switched to, hey, I don't want these things on exchanges. I don't want not your keys, not your crypto kind of deal,
Hmm.
where I've got them on a few exchanges. Some of them are going to be pretty easy to offboard. One of them,
Yeah.
because it's technically bridged to their blockchain, they're going to charge me something like 1.1%. And that got me really pissed off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I had no idea when I was using your fucking exchange that you were doing that.
Yeah,
Fuck you. So,
we work hard for our percentages, even
yeah.
the little percentages.
Yeah, so yeah, there's a number of hardware wallets out there. I just personally ordered the Keystone 3 Pro.
That one
What I
looks good.
like about it, it's completely air gapped. It is 100% open source for both their code and their hardware. Unlike
Yeah.
that one standard, again, I wish I could remember it. It's late. I have a baby.
Yeah.
But that peace of mind is what sold me in the fact, again, air gapped. It has no data connectivity, Bluetooth, wired. Well, that's not technically true. You
And
can update your software wired, but
the
still.
Keystone was actually priced really good.
Oh, I got it on sale for like 120 bucks for Black Friday.
Yeah,
It was worth it. Normally 150.
it's a touch screen, isn't it? And
A 4-inch touchscreen.
it's a
Yeah.
fairly large one. Um, it looks like it would be a good option for someone like yourself who maybe was using mobile as well as like a laptop or a desktop type situation. I myself really lean towards the Trezor because, and I believe the Keystone, I think their stuff, they were using those non-certified processors. Um, so
Right. They weren't
I
that
think
standard,
I
but that's how they were able to be 100%
yeah, they were
open
fully open
source.
source, yeah, which I
But
like. I like
there's
that.
3 sensors for redundancy.
Yeah,
There's for the biometrics, there's for the
right.
camera, and then for the system itself, any sort of tampering with the hardware deletes
Yeah,
everything on the device.
yeah.
So
I
yeah,
would want to do more
certainly
testing
peace of
on it
mind.
myself before I put like any of my like long-term bags or anything on there, but it looked very promising to me as far as like I said, I don't do a lot of mobile stuff with crypto. So honestly, anything that works with a desktop or a laptop is fine for me, and that's why I've always kind of been a preferred Trezor person,
Hmm.
even though I still use my old Ledger stuff. But I would think that honestly, the Tangem cards, those seem like really good, like middleman type operations, so that you can kind of use those with your temporary wallets, your temporary bags, and use them
I
with
mean,
travel and stuff like
definitely
that.
good
I
for
like that
on the
idea.
fly.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have
yeah,
the cards, they have a ring. I would never do the ring. That's just foolish.
yeah,
I I think the Keystone is good for long-term storage.
yeah,
I think Tangent is good for, hey, I want to do some trading on the go.
yeah.
Eh, there's a
Right.
purpose for each of the things out there. I
Yep.
think Ledger is definitely one of the more um, established crypto wallets at this
Yeah.
point. However, they have had their own share of shadiness
Trust
where it's
issues,
kind of
let's say.
created.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't buy a Ledger for a reason.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah, we're entering a phase where you need to have your own um, wallet. You need to have it stored away so
Yeah.
people can't access it.
Yeah.
Keep a backup of your seed phrase.
Yep.
I recommend putting it into metal, specifically stainless steel, 304 stainless steel. It's fire resistant. Keystone sells these little tablets that are made of it so you can store them. I said, fuck that. I've got where's that? It's somewhere around here.
Yeah.
Um, I got steel presses,
Yeah.
so for each of the letters, and I'm
Oh yeah.
doing something that I think is it was kind of smart. Where I'm like, it's stupid but smart. Where I'm like, why don't I just do that? So most stainless steel pans are extremely thick on the bottom, and they just so happen to be three. Right? So
That's
I've been buying up pans from thrift shops. I even got a giant stainless steel platter today, and I'm going to slice them up into individual tablets, press in my seed phrases, and then secure them somewhere.
even
No
long
one else
after
needs to know.
even long after those seed phrases are useless, those are going to pass down through your family like heirlooms, man.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's going to be
I don't have to worry about them melting. That's for sure.
great granddaddy's old seed phrase. I mean, yeah, I mean, who knows where we're heading? There's a lot of different levels of like where we could be with things, and so I think that the smart individual, the smart investor, um, the person looking just to build their own wealth, I think you really have to diversify on things.
Hmm.
I mean, and that goes from, operating within the central bank, um, game plan to, more things that seem to be now on the outside, but we don't know what their futures really hold, like Bitcoin or Ethereum. I mean, I would say Cardano's in there. I think they're on the list of things that were ISO compliant,
They
supposedly.
are. They are
Um,
compliant. I had no idea until recently. I
yeah,
was like, really? That wasn't on our list that I originally looked at. Then I found an updated list, and they're
yeah.
there.
So, I mean, honestly, I was thinking even about picking up some more of that the other day. So, that made me, bullish on that a little bit.
Hmm.
But and so yeah, I think it's probably smart to have a diversified way of thought and approach to your investments, where you do a little bit of do a little of the XRP, and do, like I say, do invest in this system that there's a lot of money being put into.
Hmm.
You'll be a fool not to see the possible benefit there. But I think, like I said, I think that Bitcoin right now, especially, is showing us that it is definitely, at the very least, still a good place to try to get away from a little bit of the inflation of the dollar.
Oh, it's a
Uh,
store of
at,
wealth,
yeah,
undeniably
at the
so.
very least. And there's other coins out there that are kind of proving themselves as well. But just with anything else, I would say that that's really my ideology is, trust but verify, meaning that
Hmm.
I hope that I would like to believe that the banking industry has our best needs at heart. But I think that I'm gonna make them prove it to me,
Yeah.
and that goes with crypto, that goes with, blockchain or technology, and it's a trust but verify situation. That shouldn't be a problem with anybody, you know.
Yeah.
And if it is, that's also a red flag. So we'll see what happens. I would say, yeah, invest in that list. You want to invest in the system. That's great. There's definitely opportunities there. I think there's more than opportunities in Bitcoin and other more truly still decentralized stuff. I
Hmm.
also think that maybe, having some actual minerals, some gold and silver and things like that
Physical
is good.
assets,
Um,
property. Yeah.
and also, you might want to grow a garden and have some just lead to make your own bullets around too. I mean, all
Yeah.
levels, right? Diversify your portfolio and you'll be ready for whatever you can be ready for. And that's what it's about, uh, in these days of uncertainty, is just trying to be ready
I
for
mean, look
anything.
what's happening. Literally, we're on the cusp of World War III.
Yeah.
You've got Western missile technology, long range, being sent into Russia.
Yeah.
It's a
Pretty
wild
scary
time,
shit.
and it's I, I am shocked by the outgoing administration's efforts to seemingly spark shit up before the new administration takes over, and it's alarming.
Yeah.
And I would like to believe that tensions are going to go down. You know, the president elect has made a lot of promises about, hey,
Mm.
let's end the war in Ukraine. I'm gonna do it in the first 24 hours. So we'll see what happens, and that's why we're focusing
Yep,
on
we do it.
crypto.
Well, we do it,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's exactly it. Is that anybody and everybody does this, man. You cannot obsess about the macro global policy and what's going on in the world. At some point, you just have to do what you can do, and for a lot of us, that is just kind of trying to be ready for anything. I mean,
Yeah.
especially if you have a child that you're trying to, raise into a new world and things like that. I mean, it's just everybody's just trying to live, So it is
Yeah.
very alarming what's going on because it doesn't seem to be, it doesn't seem like it has anything to do with people. It seems like it has more to do with politics and, you know, the desire to centralize wealth.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but
But
yeah, I mean, we've all got our own world to live in, and sometimes you got to step back from that macro view.
hmm and just a closing bit on the ISO 20022 standard.
Hmm.
Um, so again, the everything goes online March 10th of 2025.
Hmm.
And then full integration by the end of 2025. So there is this window. We're on this cusp of a major transformation. So it goes
Right.
back to whether you're a crypto enthusiast, a skeptic, somewhere in between. If you think it's great, if you're jaded about it, this is still a space worth watching.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
who knows how long this bull market's going to last? I've heard a lot of different theories out
Oh,
there.
same man.
You know.
This literally could be the end of market cycles. Let's hop into that next. So right
Okay.
now, it is being floated that the U.S. should establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve
Yeah, I'm
where
all
they would be
for it.
buying, if I'm not mistaken, is it 20 million per year? That's what they want to have allocated over the course of, is it 10 years? The point is they want to gather up 200 million Bitcoin.
Yeah,
And I believe they already have that, though, with all the amounts they've seized over the years.
somebody's got
Who knows?
it. Yeah,
But
right.
the point is, if the US does this, every other world government is going to follow their lead. The supply shock that's going to happen with Bitcoin will send that price through the roof. You already have other world governments, and even like fucking Texas, who are front running the U.S. right now. Like, let's buy up the Bitcoin while we can get it at this lower price.
Yeah.
This is real. This is what's going down right now. So the supply shock will happen in many spaces. It's it's real. It is 100%
Yep.
real, and I don't know what to expect with this cycle. Is it the end of all cycles? Will we ever have this opportunity? Is this the last, great chance for that
I don't know.
transfer of
I
wealth?
I feel like I feel like, from what I've seen in the years that I've been involved in Bitcoin, there's always a dip, you know, and it also eventually the price rises again. So, I mean, I haven't seen anything to indicate that we'd be busting necessarily out of uh rising, falling volatility patterns. You know what I mean? I think that the 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 technicals of Bitcoin haven't changed enough at this point, meaning that it's still anti-inflationary because
Hmm.
we still have a cap supply. There's only
Yep,
so much
21 million.
Bitcoin. Once it's gone, there's no longer any to be minted, and that is the major thing that really piqued my attention and made me want to invest in it is because it's anti-inflationary as a result of its limited supply.
Well,
Um,
with the supply shock factor, people are going to want to buy it, but if it's not on exchanges,
right,
you're shut of luck. The people who are
and
going
that
to acquire it are never going to sell it.
and that's
That's
exactly why we have stories like your friend about throwing his computer away and not thinking anything about it until years later. And those years later, Bitcoin wasn't even near where it's at now. you know.
Hmm.
And I fully assume that as long as the technicals stay the same for Bitcoin, meaning that that it is actually still anti-inflationary mainly. I also think proof of work is it needs to stay proof of work, um, and it needs to stay a limited supply. And I think that those are the things that really that's what makes it a strong place to store your wealth, you know.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that as long as those technicals stand, Bitcoin is solid. My concern is that Bitcoin could be modified. Those technicals could be modified.
Yeah.
And we know that that's a possibility, and that's just something that could possibly happen and has happened before. To this point, it's not been necessarily the detrimental thing that we maybe are concerned about, but it certainly, in my opinion, has been a stair step. Getting rid of the ability, the requirement that every node become a full node. I mean I think that has implications towards further modification.
Hmm.
But I still think that at this point it's solid. I also like Bitcoin Cash. You know, um,
Yeah. BCH.
I think that like I said, it's good to diversify your portfolio, and I think that there's opportunities to be made with the banking system and outside of it as well. And I think that in a free and in a free world where we do enjoy liberty, and that's what I enjoy about capitalism, is that it does seem to benefit it, lead itself towards, individual property ownership and liberty. But it's hard fought, and so there's something to be said for maintaining options. And I think that's what we've seen in Bitcoin, especially when you start talking about what you were talking about entire countries adopting Bitcoin. And
Hmm.
so to kind of bring it back, to circle back to where we started this particular conversation, which was a strategic, Bitcoin storage in Fort Knox, so to speak, digital Fort Knox. Um,
Except because it's on the blockchain, you can actually
yeah,
verify how much you
exactly,
have. Not like, here's this
exactly.
one room. We're going to take a photo of this one room. Look, we have plenty of gold.
I think ultimately, I think it strengthens the dollar. And as much shit as I talk about, government control and things like that, I do not want the dollar to die. I like the dollar and I want it to be strong, you know.
Yeah.
It's just that a lot of time at this point, there's been a lot of decisions that have not been made by anybody who has been elected or by the voters, you know what I mean? and
Yeah.
and, and a lot of unfortunately those decisions have had very bad consequences for the average every not just voters but the average everyday citizen that has to use the US dollar. And like I
Oh,
said,
yeah.
I'm not a get rid of cash guy. I think that it has its place, and I mean, I also think that when you're talking about blockchain currencies and ways of making payment systems there versus cash, cash is definitely the more private option and the one that the criminals are going to use. So yeah, there's a downside to it, but there's also I'm not one of those people that thinks that we should give up our ability, our freedoms, and our liberty and our options just for some promise of safety, which never gets followed through with.
It,
So
Patriot Act.
yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, and that ideology kind of like, definitely has a lot to do with how and where I invest my resources. Um, but um, but yeah, I think that the hardware wallets, are fantastic ideas if you are going to be doing that. And I think that each one of them, depending on what you're going to get, is probably going to depend on your main use case.
Hmm.
But yeah, get your stuff off exchanges. You should only have stuff on exchanges if you're trying to make trades and you know,
Cash out.
yeah, cash out or buy the dip, you know.
I mean, I'm definitely going to leave a bit of my XRP on the exchange just
Sure.
because, yeah, if I do want to cash out, if I want to get into something else,
Yeah.
easily convertible, I see merit in doing so, but the majority of it, get it off.
Yeah. And a lot of what that other article was talking about, the quantum financial system, man, I don't even know that I want to jump into that right now because that's just a whole. I mean, again, there's a lot of promises being made and a lot of like you know, um, very optimistic um, theories being being brought to the forefront as far as that goes. But I need to see proof. I need to see evidence. You know, I need to trust but verify
Hmm.
when it comes to
Hmm.
that stuff. So I don't know what the future of crypto is. What I'm hoping happens here. I mean, if you just want to talk charts here, um, is I'm hoping that we see a pullback on Bitcoin. I think that, we saw a lot of resistance at 99 of 100K,
Yep.
which I think is expected. I mean, that's a fantastic sounding place to sell your Bitcoin, right? For a lot of people. And smart people take profits when they can. And so
Yep.
I think that what we're seeing is a little bit of a pullback, but I'm not seeing, a fear and greed uh, meters are still balls to the wall greed. I mean, I'm not seeing a lot of indications that it's going to be like a severe pullback, but I do think that we may see a slight drop here moving forward. I'm not sure where we're at right now as we're recording this, but I mean, most recently, I think we were hovering around 98K. So,
We're at 97,742
okay. Yep.
currently.
So
Yeah.
we have seen a bit of a pullback, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
half
And
a percent
yeah.
in the last 24 hours, but for the week, it's still up
Yep.
7.8%.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a very small correction. I think when we can break through 100K on Bitcoin, it's a psychological event.
Yeah.
We will see a level of enthusiasm and a level of funds flowing in, both retail and
Yep.
institutional. Um, I think the institutional mindset, and this was, I can't remember the name of the magazine, it came out recently, um, purely finance based, and it said, hey, buy everything.
Yeah. I mean, that's
So,
exactly it. People are still buying. So, I mean, great.
yep,
I think
yep,
I don't think we've seen the top yet, but you never know. You never know.
yeah, very true. Well, if we're not going to talk quantum today, is there anything else?
I don't think so. I think we're pretty close to what almost about 53 minutes now. I mean,
Okay.
quantum is like I said, it's just what what I see when people start talking about quantum financial system is more promises like this is going to make everything more efficient and more decentralized. And I just don't believe, the whole idea behind decentralized finance, I think, was a giant failure
Hmm.
of a promise that was sold to a lot of us. And I think what people are realizing is that there's almost always a company or a team or an organization or somebody behind these decentralized systems, even if it's just somebody that can flip a switch and the server goes down. So um, I think that once again, it goes back to trust but verify. You need to prove to me that this is what it actually is, and it's the same thing that you were talking about being impressed with David and Blockstar, is he already had the technology built before he started his marketing push.
I mean,
Um,
he hasn't even started marketing. That's the crazy part.
yeah,
He just started talking about it. They've
yeah,
got 40,000 users by word of mouth.
yeah,
I think there's a certain amount of them that are, going to be bots just like any other platform.
yeah, right.
But knowing that after all this time, they finished their apps. The last thing they were working
Yeah,
on was getting notifications right on the iOS app.
no,
Um, and they're about to push the blockchain public. It's an exciting time. definitely something utility based, and uh, the focus
Yeah.
isn't even on their cryptocurrency. It's about their ecosystem, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's really opened my eyes to, again, utility based. Here are all the things we have. No one else is doing it. No one has the same scale. There are so many features on that platform. I'm like, I didn't ask for this, and it's like it doesn't matter what I asked for. It's for somebody. Somebody will
Yeah.
utilize their the services they have to offer. It is so large. The complaint I often come across is like, hey, there's too much here. It's like,
Yeah.
no fucking shit, man.
There is a
It
lot,
is
like you
a
said.
lot.
When you say it's a full ecosystem, I mean, they've got a YouTube competitor. They've got, I think
Music
like a
streaming,
Spotify, yeah,
podcasting, yeah,
competitor. It's like,
CRM software.
yeah,
They have AI as well. Their system had been in development for 15 years. It's Daisy, DAISI.
yeah,
It is very impressive. I have access to it. I mean, anyone can have access to it, but I'm a tiered member, and it's just like, wow, okay. Normally, when I interact with ChatGPT, I do quite a bit of prompt engineering. I didn't have to do fucking any of that with Daisy.
yeah,
They have additionally AI assistants. So any position in a company, you can have it right there. And of
yeah,
course, again, that's something you got to pay for.
sure,
But the fact it exists, people really aren't ready for this. They do their Telegram, competitor. They they even have they call it fans only. I think it's an only fans competitor, and I'm
that's
like,
great.
well, shit, man. Again,
That's great.
not for me, but you've got dating. There's all these things in there that's just like they're trying to be the everything app, just like X is. I
Yeah,
don't think they'll ever get to the same level, but they definitely will contain their own market share. Um,
yeah,
with the tokenomics that they have existing, which is attached to the ecosystem,
yeah,
is 80% of ad revenue is used to do a direct buy on the contract. By contributing to the ecosystem, you
yeah,
earn points that you can then convert into their blockchain.
yeah,
And that's how they pay for it.
right.
The tokens that are purchased with ad money are then paid out to people. And this isn't some magical thing. It's like, no, this is legit as it comes. Um, I am still amazed by it. I am excited to see where they go with it. I
Yeah.
can honestly say this. So this is a 100% true fact. I have contributed more to that platform than
Yeah.
anybody else at
Oh
this
yeah.
point, simply because I interact with it all the time.
Yep.
I've claimed probably close to $1,000
Yeah.
on their blockchain in this point. I've been going at this for years. So it is something that is definitely going to be part of this next wave. I think we are in a
Yeah.
utility-based future. Meme coins will always exist.
Sure.
Distractions will always exist
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rugs, everything like that. But we are about to enter a utility-based market cycle, in my
Yep.
opinion.
Yep. I agree. And who knows what the future may bring, but I would say diversify your portfolio and take your opportunities when you can get them, and hopefully, something hits, right? So.
Hey, we got to insert Dave Chappelle's skit with Wu-Tang Financial. Diversify your stocks and bonds.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make sure to throw that in somewhere in here.
All right, brother.
All right. Good one, man.
Yep.
I'll
Good
see you
talk.
next time.
All right.
And hey, everyone, thanks for watching. And also, we didn't do it at the beginning. We need to thank our sponsors.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we got a new sponsor recently before we went live. So we have the spread, we have the chain, we have the drift, and now we have the shop. So they are all part of a large decentralized news network that is present on Blockstar.
Yep.
Definitely something to check them out. I would say specifically with the spread, they have a meme page. If you're looking to bracket points very quickly, just post memes. The whole point of memes is you steal them and share them. So
Yep.
bring your best memes to the table.
Yeah.
Search memes. It's the first one that pops up.
Perfect.
Yeah, guys. Again, thanks to our sponsors, and yeah, we'll see you on the next one, guys.
All
Bye.
right.